Hey everybody, now that the Wells Index Mill is back online, I shouldn't say back online, but up and running, I decided I want to make a one of my first projects on the mill is I want to make a T-nut so I can mount my quick change tool post on the Vernon Lathe. So I was just looking at the size of this this first dimension that I need, which is the width of the wide part of the slot here, and of course if I take the actual dimension of it, okay, I look at that and I go, well gee, you know, I don't want it fitting that tightly, I want a little bit of play. I'm so close to that 50 thousandths that I think I want to just go with that. So if I set my calipers to the 50 and just lock them, and then I'm just going to take the jaws and yeah, I mean for some jobs that would be plenty sloppy, but for the job of the T-nut here I think that clearance is okay. The other thing is that I don't think that the tightness of the T-nut in this lower slot is as critical as the tightness of the T-nut in this upper slot. And even in this upper slot I think we can have some play. So anyways, oh, I thought I just locked that. What is this? Well, that's operator error there. I don't normally use these calipers. It's this top thing locks it. I don't know what this bottom, well, you know, whatever. Alright, so I'm gonna make myself a little drawing and start putting some of these numbers on paper. Alright, so here's my little rough sketch. Okay, that's the side view, front view, top view. And I'm gonna go with 1.5 inches for the width in that top slot, where it's going to slide in and out of the top slot. That'll give me enough clearance. 2.150 overall width. Height wise, overall height 1 inch, and then going to have that lower part is going to be 0.525, so I'm going to have a bit of a shelf there, so I'll do a little math to figure out how much I'm going to come down to get to that. Simple enough. Got some beer stains on here, so it doesn't look like I'm going to be saving that for posterity. And this evening we're drinking Hefeweizen by Flying Dog. Not bad. So start to peruse the scrap pile. You'll notice I don't have some of the dimensions on here, like the overall length of this, because quite frankly that I've got some flexibility as far as that goes. And then also I don't have my dimension of my hole yet, because I've got to look that up to I got to figure out what the thread is and everything, and figure out what size hole to drill for the size tap that I'm going to use to tap the threads in that. And I know that's just going to be dead center in whatever I end up. It's going to be centered in whatever size I end up with as far as length, and I know of course it's going to be centered in the width, but I don't know what length I'm going to get yet here. So really depends what I've got in the scrap pile. Well, I was looking through all the various bits and pieces of stock that I've got in cut-offs, and I was having a hard time finding anything that would have the, you know, the dimensions each way that would work. I've got some aluminum pieces that I could use to do that, but I really don't want to use aluminum. I'm worried about aluminum flexing, and then also the threads not being as strong, because I'm probably going to be, you know, tightening that down pretty tight. And so I found this piece of unidentified steel. I don't know what this is. It's got some serious mill scale on it though. So I could take a pass across this and just see how it cleans up and everything. But my other problem is I really only need, luckily this hole's far enough over so that from, if I cut it right here, just use this block right here, I could do it. What I don't like about that is I've got to cut through this just over 1 inch thick steel, and the only thing I've got to cut this with is my my portable bandsaw, which if I was going to undertake that, I really would want probably have my son handy and have him continue to drip some oil on there as I was cutting, and it would still take a while to get through. So I'm not so crazy about that. Not only that, but again, I don't even know what this material is. What's this, cast iron? Oh, there we go. There's a little bit more of a indication of what this might be. I do not know. So anyways, I was thinking, well, why not? I've got this round piece that I just got with the new batch of tools, and this is some sort of a steel P20 18780. I'm sure those numbers right there tell the whole story. If I was knowledgeable, I would probably be able to look at that and go, oh, that's so-and-so steel. Anyways, looking at this dimensionally, I think I can get my piece. The ends will be rounded, but who cares? They won't be that rounded. And actually, I could probably square those ends and still have a large enough T-nut to make this work. I've even got, quite frankly, I could probably even use this countersunk hole right here to start my my hole. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up facing a flat on one side and then flip it around in the vise and use the flat to make another flat on the other side parallel. Why wouldn't that work? Alright, so now that I've decided to use this piece of what I now think might be stainless, I've got to, I think the first operation I need to do is, this side here looks like it maybe was cut off with a saw, because it's actually thicker here than it is here by quite a bit, looking at it. This side looks fairly square to the sides here. So, you know, I want to cut the sides off here so that I end up with two flats on the sides here. Problem is, if I try and hold this in the vise, it's not really going to work because the fact that this is not uniform thickness going straight across. So I think the first operation I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get this face right here parallel to this face. What's it mean when sparks fly off? Yeah, I think I did something wrong. So it's just another classic example of how speed and feed can make a difference. I increased the feed and let the cutter start digging in a little more aggressively, and it started to cut pretty nicely again. I got a little bit of a ridge right there. It built up that I kind of missed. I just could cut that off. That's pretty flat on that side, so I think I'll deburr that edge. and then flip it over in the vise so that now my new flat side is down. And then I guess I'll take it down to the 1-inch thickness that I want. Okay, I just brought the, I flipped this over and I brought the table up so that I don't have to extend the quill. And I'm hoping that's going to make things a little more stable maybe. So I've got 80 thousandths I've got to take off. So this is going to probably take a while, but I'm hoping that this will give me plenty of opportunity to experiment with different rates of feed and depths of cut. Depths of cut. It definitely seems to cut better in that direction than going back the other way. So I'm going to just back it up, move the saddle over, and then do all my passes in that one direction. I'll try 20 thousandths. That's much better. Except that those chips are hot. Ow. I've got safety glasses on, but one just hit me in the hand and they're cooking hot. I'm locking the saddle every time I move it over. That does seem to help. I know I said I wasn't going to go in this direction, but it does seem like it's cutting okay. Try and get a quick measurement on that because I should have only about 30 thousandths to go. It's more like about 22 thousandths left. You know, if I'm a little under an inch, that's okay too. I'm going to try and take 25 thousandths on this cut. I think the finish on the other side's good enough, so. Looks like the thickness is 5 thousandths in one area over an inch, and everywhere else it seems to be an inch or less. So I still am not perfectly parallel on both sides. Again, because of the job that this is going to be doing, basically just a T-nut, I don't think I need to get that finicky with it. But I do need to make sure it's below an inch. So I'm going to take a light 5 thousandths cut. I'm going to take it off this side, which didn't have as nice a finish as the other side did on the first try, so see how that works out. Cutting back on the feed rate. It's funny, I'm hearing a lot of vibration in the top end, and I'm looking at it, I think it's actually the drawbar. And my battery's dying too. Alright, so yesterday after the camera battery died, I just made a few more passes here and ended up cutting this flat on this side here. So now I can put this down in the vise like this, and I can do the same thing on this side, and I can start to actually make a what's going to end up being basically kind of like a rectangle with rounded sides. But I'm not going to worry about squaring off the ends because I really don't care about that. But what I do care about is I do kind of want this dimension from this point here to this point here. I'm going to end up taking more off on this side. But the dimension here to here, I want to match, or at least be in the ballpark close to the dimension I end up with on this side when I put the flat on this side. Not really critical. It's just going to be more aesthetically pleasing to my eye. So, for what that's worth. So what I should have done is when I put this in the vise, before I started cutting off, I should have touched off at the top. I should have taken the diameter of this, split the diameter, subtracted out the diameter I want to end up with, split that in two, and taken that amount off, touched off on the top, and then gone down that amount. Then flip this over and taken that same amount off this side, and I'd be right where I want to be. I didn't do that. I started cutting off, and I took some off already, and I don't know how much I took off. But it's easy enough to figure out because this is round. I could take the dimension that I started with, okay, which looks like it's going to be, now there's a burr. There's a little bit of a burr on the edge there, so I got to take that into account. Yeah, 320 thousandths seems about right. So my starting dimension is 320. What did I say? 320 thousandths? No. It's 3 inches and 20 thousandths. It's 20 thousandths over 3 inches. Yeah, that wouldn't work. Okay. And from that, if I take this measurement, which oddly enough is about 21. Let's see. So 2.721. So 2.721. All right. So what I want to do is I want to take out of this overall dimension, I want to take out enough to get down to 2.150. So overall, I want to take out 1.870. I want to take 1.870 off of this total, but I want to take it evenly off of both sides. So I want to divide the 1.870 by 2, which is 9.935.
Right? Alright, so I'm going to...
Yeah, 0.935. I'm just going to double check my math here. This becomes... Oh, wait a minute. That's an error there. I thought that looked like way too much. Yeah.
Oh, this should be 0. This becomes a 2. This becomes a 10, 9, 12, 7, 9 minus 1, 8, 2, 2, 2, 0.
0.870. Okay. So 0.870, which means this is wrong. Because 0.870 divided by 2 is 0.435. So I want to take off 0.435 off of each side. So, question is, how much did I take off of this side so far? Well, all I got to do is take, again, my starting dimension, 3.020, and subtract out 2.721, and I end up with
9. Let's see, this becomes a 2, this becomes a 10, 9, 9. 9 minus 7 is 2.
0.299. Alright, so 0.299 is what I've taken off so far. So I need to take off 0.136 more from this side and 0.435 off of this side. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by taking the 0.435 off of this side. Back to the grind. Alright, so I'm going to clamp this in the vise, but I noticed that the vise has a little dip right in the middle here that's not a machine surface. And this hockey puck of mine here is kind of falling into that. So I could put it over here or over here, but then the clamping force of the vise won't be optimal. My understanding is that you want to avoid doing that, so that the jaws are clamping more parallel to each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a couple of these little spacers. And I'll tell you, it's nice that those magnets are in there. Holds them right in there so they don't fall over on you while you're trying to set them up. Those are the shortest ones I have. So that'll still give me quite a bit of meat down in the vise that's being clamped on, so to speak. Alright, I'm just going to grab my safety glasses and some hearing protection. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the cutter over the top and make a pass and bring it up until I'm just touching off at the very top edge with the cutter. At that point, I'm going to zero my dial on my knee elevation there, and that way I can just use that to dial it up the 400 and some odd thousandths. I got it written down over there. That I want to take off on this side. Alright, that's maybe 1,000. So I said 435 thousandths, but I'm going to just do 434 because I think I may have taken off 1,000th already. I'm going to take off the 34 thousandths right off the bat. Alright, so that should get me down to 400 thousandths. I'm gonna try a 50 thousandths cut, which is the most I've tried so far with this cutter. That's 50 thousandths. I'm locking the knee, which I wasn't doing before. The saddle has been locked right along. So keep that feed rate down pretty low. So that's 100 thousandths. When I take this pass, it'll be 100 thousandths. So that'll give me 300 to go. All right, here goes 75 thousandths. That leaves me with 50 thousandths, which I'm going to take that all in one pass because the finish I just got on that cut's pretty darn good. Alright, so we're going to glove because that's going to be hot. I really wish I had that Rockwell sander down here right now with some aluminum oxide belts on it. Then I could ease these edges nice. So I think I'm going to break for lunch, and then when I come back down, we're going to have to mount this in here like this, and we're going to have to take those steps off the sides. 200 thousandths or 100 thousandths off each side. So this is going to have to be sitting up here like this. Going to need some taller ones of these. Dummy. Alright, so I've got this in the vise now, and I'm going to cut the step. And what I need to do is, I need to find this edge. Now, I could put an edge finder in there, find the edge, and then move the table over half the diameter of the cutter, and that would put my cutting edge right at the edge, and then move it back over in the amount that I want the width of that step to be. But rather than go through all that trouble, I'm going to just cheat, and I'm going to just get it close with the cutter not running, and then I'll just touch off on it and go from there. So I'm going to cut the back side first. Alright, so what I'm going to do is get my glasses for protection. Alright, so I'm just touching off there now. And let's see, I figured I want these, let's see, it's 50, 200 thousandths, so each one is 100 thousandths deep. So I'm going to set my dial at 0. Make sure I take up the lost motion. Alright, so that should be 100 thousandths right there. Well, that doesn't seem right. My math is wrong. Oh, it's 1.100. Okay, so it's 325 thousandths is the width of that little shelf there. So I just went 100 thousandths, so 325. And I'm going to lock the saddle. Alright. Next thing I want to do is I want to raise the table until that just touches off on the top surface of this. And then I'll raise the table up the amount. Well, I'm not going to take this all in one cut, so. But the idea is I'll zero the table when it touches off. I'll zero the knee elevation, and that way I'll know how much I'm taking off. Alright, so I'm going to shut it off so I can get close. Alright, so now with that cutter off, let's bring this up. That should do it. Alright, so now let me figure out what I want for a total depth of that. Alright, so 475 thousandths. So let's get the speed up. First cut, I'm just going to take 25 thousandths. Alright, down to 450, so I'm going to take a full 50 thousandths. That's it. This will be my final cut on this side. My my parallels aren't doing anything. Must mean that that's coming out. I'll check the tightness on this vise. Oh, it's pretty tight. Alright, now I gotta move the cutter over to the front edge and do that again, but I want to make sure that that's all the way down on those parallels. So these are just floating in there. So if anything, that groove might be a little bit deeper than it was supposed to be if this moved up while it was cutting. Alright, just took a 75 thousandths cut. I'm going to go back down to a 50 thousandths cut and try increasing the feed rate. That's definitely making some bigger chips. I'm going to try and cut in the other direction, which would be, let's see, the cutter's moving this way right now. So actually, I think I'm doing I was just doing climb milling. And I think what I actually should be doing is I should be going in the other direction on this side for conventional milling. So that was 50 thousandths. All right, again, I'm going to stay with that 50 thousandths, but keep that feed rate up. Go in the other direction. Again, only 75 thousandths left to go, but getting very close to that jaw. So let's see if I take the 50. Yeah, still have clearance. Something's up. This is almost flush with the top of the jaw vise over here. This definitely feels higher on the back side there. So I think maybe that wasn't fully seated down. Well, I know it wasn't because these moved. So these move freely, so I don't have that in there correctly. It's a good thing this isn't a critical part. But I think I better just stop there and test fit over on the lathe.